Greetings everyone, I'm Jonathan Bailey from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. Today, actually some very interesting copyright news came out. ISPs and major copyright holders have introduced the Center for Copyright Infringement. It is going to be the organization that will be administering the six strike system in the United States of America. Basically, sometime last year, various ISPs along with the major copyright holders got together and they kind of agreed to a voluntary six strike system by which copyright holders would be able to send notices of copyright infringement to ISPs, and ISPs would notify their customers, and then a various series of steps would take place, and eventually there would be some kind of punishment, whether it was throttling or something else, but supposedly account termination was completely off the table, and the punishments would not begin to get levied until like strike 5 or 6. So it's mostly, I think it's safe to say, an educational effort with only the hardest and the dumbest of the copyright infringers, or the I guess the people leaving their Wi-Fi open and not taking a hint, will be the ones getting any kind of action taken against them. But I gotta say, I found this announcement kind of surprising. When this whole six strikes thing was first announced some time ago, it sounded very informal. It didn't sound like what we're hearing today, where we have an organization that has executives, it has an advisory board, it will have employees that's going to be managing this thing, and the executives are actually, at least one of them is fairly high level here. So I'm kind of surprised by that, because whenever we first heard this pitch, it sounded like, you know, the parties involved signed a memorandum of understanding, a very vague term there, and ISPs were free to enforce this in their own way, and copyright holders couldn't force the ISPs to do anything, and this and that. It sounded like it was a very informal, let's just kind of get on the same page and see what we can do by working together and see which system works the best. And now we have this formalized infrastructure, this Hadopi-like organization sitting between the two sides. Obviously, I'm going to be very interested to see what happens. One thing I do find fascinating, though, is that a former director of public knowledge is actually sitting on the advisory board of this. I guess, you know, he said in one interview that he's there to make sure that account termination is not included in the various repercussions that can be delivered by ISPs. But I gotta say, this is a pretty interesting development. I did not fully see this coming, not at least to this extent. I mean, it makes sense to have some kind of intermediate organization, but I didn't expect anything this, you know, hardcore, this set up, and this, you know, I guess you would say formalized. But it's happening, and supposedly the ISPs are still on track to kick this thing off sometime in the second quarter, so look for it, I would say, later in the summer. But this is a big step forward for this, whether you like this or not. That's obviously a matter of public opinion. That's a matter of your opinion, but it's not a matter of opinion that this thing is moving forward, and it's moving forward quickly and in a more formalized nature than a lot of people expected. We'll be monitoring it. I'm sure I'm going to have more on this in the 3 count and more on this on the podcast on Wednesday, so stay tuned. In the meantime, though, this is Jonathan Bailey signing off.